Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 10.
University, we're behind there. You know, we've had a number of issues. We found a gas main right away.
It isn't what drivers want to hear, but yes, road construction projects are behind schedule.
That means construction, congestion, and delays aren't going away anytime soon. Valley News Team's Veronica Marshall finds out when drivers can expect some relief.
Nobody likes traffic.
But these days, Brian Sunbum sees a lot of it. He says he drives on University nearly every day, and he's had to learn how to navigate the backups caused by construction.
Maybe the first couple times I was a little bit late. I've planned to maybe leave early 10 minutes before you want to get to anywhere.
The single lane southbound is still a big traffic delay for most of the people that are trying to get through there.
And if it seems like Fargo's construction season has overstayed its welcome, it has. Engineers say the project is about a month behind schedule.
We had an 8-inch gas line that ended up being in our way, so there's quite a bit of delays with that. And the weather hasn't helped.
We went from plowing snow to construction in about a week. We had snow on the ground in May. We were still plowing snow right into construction as soon as the weather broke. So there wasn't a whole lot of time to plan, and there wasn't a whole lot of time to get ready. It was just, let's get ready and go.
But there is good news for drivers like Sunbum.
We'll have 2 lanes in each direction probably within 10 days. So that'll greatly lessen the delay out there.
By the end of next week, it's going to start looking more like a road. You can start to see the end there, so that's a nice place to be.
And overall, everyone can agree the changes are worth the wait.
You know, we're trying to make improvements, helping people move around a little bit better, trying to make it safer. That's always a goal with our projects.
Overall, I think just for the future, I think it's better.
In Fargo, Veronica Marshall, Valley News Live.
Engineers say construction on Cheyenne Street will not wrap up this year because it was meant to be a 2-year project. But they are hoping to get the first interstate bridge completed soon so they can split traffic for the winter and start working on the second bridge next year.
We have new information tonight as prosecutors are asking that a murder charge be dropped against an elderly Fargo man accused of shooting and killing his wife. Cass County prosecutor Tanya Johnson Martinez told us tonight that the motion was filed today in the case against Lewis Averson. Averson is charged with shooting and killing his wife in early June at their Fargo apartment. He then shot himself as part of a suicide pact, but survived. In the stipulation for dismissal, Johnson Martinez says it's been determined that Averson lacks the capacity to understand legal proceedings and is unlikely to ever regain such capacity. As a result, he was civilly committed to the state hospital for treatment. Since his disorder is expected to worsen until his death, the Century Code calls for a dismissal.
If you didn't see any rain this evening, there are more chances in the coming days. Hutch, what's happening overnight?
Most of our showers and thunder showers that moved through the northern part of the valley earlier this evening have pushed up into parts of southern Canada, leaving us with fairly quiet conditions for most and a few breaks in the clouds here and there as well. Most of our showers, or the remnant showers, are near Lake of the Woods. That's about it. They did dump between an inch and an inch and a half of rain through parts of Marshall County, Minnesota, and Walsh County, North Dakota. As they moved through, the rain was much needed in some of these areas. Look at the cool air pooling near Minot, 50s there, and in Devil's Lake, 70s now in Fargo-Moorhead. Now, overnight, we'll have a break in the clouds, and if you happen to be outdoors during the deep overnight hours, peer to the northern sky just above the horizon. There's a chance of northern lights tonight. All details on your forecast for tomorrow. It does look like more showers and thunderstorms will be here. I'll have the latest coming up in a minute.
All right, thanks, Hutch. And make sure you can get the forecast when you need it with the latest version of the Valley News Live Storm Team weather app. Download the latest version for free so that you don't miss important alerts. Just search VNL Weather in your app store.
Hurricane warnings are now in effect as Hurricane Florence continues to churn toward the U.S. coast.
Reporter Mola Lengi is in Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina with the latest.
The most dire predictions about Florence moved closer to becoming a reality on Tuesday. Now a Category 4 storm, it's on track to make a direct strike on the southeastern United States.
It is an extremely dangerous, life-threatening, historic hurricane.
Officials in the Carolinas and Virginia continue to sound the alarm about the growing danger.
Even if you've ridden out storms before, this one is different. Don't bet your life on riding out a monster.
At the White House, FEMA officials briefed President Trump on the rapidly intensifying hurricane. Mr. Trump has declared a federal state of emergency for the region.
The safety of American people is my absolute highest priority. We are sparing no expense. We are totally prepared. We're ready.
More than 1.5 million people here along the coast are under a mandatory evacuation. Further inland, residents are bracing for what's being described as catastrophic flooding.
We're all waiting for generators, waiting for that storm to hit. We need some power for the house. So, doing the best we can. It's supposed to be a truck coming in 10:30, so we're all waiting here.
In some areas, supplies are already running low. Store shelves are being emptied of food, and many gas stations have put up signs like this one, saying they've run out. Mola Lengi, CBS News, Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina.
Hurricane Florence is expected to make landfall on Thursday evening or early Friday morning.
The campaign for affordable and accessible birth control made its way to the MSUM campus. Gender Justice, Red River Women's Clinic, and Planned Parenthood rallied together tonight to bring the conversation to students there. They want to protect free birth control copay. The executive director for Gender Justice says this topic is important to discuss as it impacts more than 1.1 million people in Minnesota alone.
Access to birth control is under attack, and we all need to be vocal about why it's important for ourselves and for our families and our communities, and do everything we can to protect it.
Peterson adds that there is no current protection of contraceptive access in Minnesota or North Dakota, and they would like to see adoption of state-level protections for both.
A Fargo man has been sentenced to 15 years in federal prison for child porn charges. Police say they got a tip that 26-year-old Damian Olvera had uploaded pictures of a young girl to his Gmail account. He was charged with possessing and receiving child porn. Olvera will also have 15 years of supervised release and must pay $200 to a crime victims fund.
Charges have been dropped against a former Pembina County Sheriff's deputy accused of domestic abuse. Brad Bowman was alleged to have punched his ex-fiancée in the face in April. Bowman denied it and claimed that Nicole Roan made false accusations against him. A BCI investigation stated there wasn't enough evidence to convict either of any criminal activity. Bowman resigned from the Pembina County Sheriff's Department last week.
An inmate who disappeared for nearly 2 days from work release is back in custody. Michael Dickinson was arrested in Hubbard County, Minnesota today. Authorities say on Sunday he failed to report back to the Barnes County Correctional Facility. Additional charges are expected.
A Barnesville father says he doesn't like a policy within the school district. It requires students to do all homework on tablets instead of paper. He tells us his son is addicted to electronics and he wants to stop. And he tells us the school requires parents to pay a deposit on the tablets, whether the student brings it home or not.
When it's hard for him to watch a TV show because he's more interested in watching a YouTube video, but still has to have both of them on, or doesn't want to wake up on time because he stayed up way too late watching the tablet or falling asleep with it in his hands or hiding it.
We did reach out to the Barnesville school superintendent to talk about their policy. We did not hear back.
Ready, aim, fire.
Once again, America is remembering lives lost and dramatically impacted by the tragic events of 9/11. Here in the FM area, local fire and police departments joined area veterans for a ceremony on the Veterans Memorial Bridge between Fargo and Moorhead. The local chapter of Vietnam Veterans of America held the remembrance ceremony. Cass County Sheriff Paul Laney says it's important to honor the 9/11 victims and also those who secure our country's safety on a daily basis.
Meanwhile, families of the victims and survivors gathered to honor the nearly 3,000 lives lost during the 9/11 terrorist attack on the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and in Shanksville, Pennsylvania.
Meg Oliver reports from Ground Zero in New York.
The nation paused in a moment of silence to mark the 17th anniversary of September 11th, the worst terrorist attack on the United States. In New York, victims' family members placed flowers at the Memorial Plaza in Lower Manhattan.
And to my late wife, Jennifer Lynn Howley.
Many fought back tears while remembering their loved ones killed when hijacked planes struck the Twin Towers.
17 years later, how are you reflecting on 9/11?
Yes, it's still very raw. It's very sad. Out of the first responders who raced to Ground Zero to help, more than 350 have died from 9/11 related illnesses, and more than 7,500 have been diagnosed with cancer.
President Trump participated in a commemoration ceremony for the victims of Flight 93 in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. He says the country must never forget.
This memorial is now a message to the world. America will never, ever submit to tyranny.
Survivors and family members laid a wreath at the memorial site in Arlington, Virginia. 184 people died when a hijacked plane slammed into the Pentagon.
We mourn with those who mourn and grieve with those who grieve. But we do not grieve like those who have no hope.
Officials say nearly $4 billion has been set aside to help those who became sick or died due to the collapse of the Twin Towers. Meg Oliver, CBS News, New York.
And tonight, 2 powerful light beams soared into the night sky from lower Manhattan to remember the victims who lost their lives in the attacks of September 11th, where nearly 3,000 people died.
Later on Valley News Live at 10, teachers and parents think they're protecting kids with peanut-free classrooms, but that strategy may not be working at all.
And a beautiful sunset in Fargo with a few fair weather cumulus clouds dancing overhead. You can see the moon sliding into the shot there in the upper left. Today's temperatures were warm in Fargo and Grand Forks with spotty thunderstorms. More showers and storms in your forecast. Details are next.